Hi, this is Dr. Amie Harwick, and today we're going to talk about how to cope with your fear of flying. So there's a reason I'm talking about this today, because I have a fear of flying. I always have. It's always been a problem. For a long time, I would, take my prescribed Xanax. Still didn't really work very well. I would grab strangers' hands. I would cry to strangers. I would have strange conversations with the flight attendants. I would have stomach issues, headaches, nausea. I mean, it was a miserable experience for me to fly. And because of that, I avoided flying. I didn't go on vacations as much or visit family. But I am here to tell you that over time, that has improved so much, and I now visit family. You're welcome, Mom and Dad. And I go travel. I went to Europe this year, and while it's never going to be like my favorite thing in the world, I can do it and I can get through it and manage it. So I'm going to tell you some of the best steps to take to try to manage your fear of flying, because it's a pretty common fear and phobia, and so you can travel more and really enjoy the world more. I would say 10% of the time, the fear of flying is related to safety of a plane, which, yeah, you're getting on a plane. You're not the one that's fixing it. You don't have the information about it. And you see things in the news about plane crashes. So there is a real safety fear that's pretty normal and natural. And in those cases, you just talk to yourself about the real evidence about how likely that would be, or the real evidence about safety of planes and air travel. Thousands of people fly. So the likelihood of something happening is actually very, very, very low. But most of the people that have fear of flying, or a phobia related to airplanes, actually have more of a combination of agoraphobia and panic disorder. So what they're actually scared of is not the safety element of the plane, but how they are going to be on the plane that they may or may not feel is safe. They're more scared of going crazy on a plane, or losing their mind, or not being able to deal with whatever is happening. Typically, fear of a panic attack is panic disorder. So being scared of how they're going to act out in these types of situations. So what a great recipe for panic, or for people with panic disorders. You are strapped to a metal mechanism in the middle of the sky and you can't do anything or go anywhere. Just even saying that makes me okay, that's a little much, but that's just really what it is. So it's a good recipe to trigger somebody that already has agoraphobia, anxiety, issues with being in control of their environment. And that's really what it is. It's the feeling of lack of control, being stuck somewhere, and being scared of how your reactivity is going to be. Good news is, when it comes to panic disorder, agoraphobia, or phobias in general, these things can be treated and managed. So I'm going to give you some tips right now. So skill number 1, educate yourself. Educate yourself about the physiological response system that happens in the body when you are scared. Your stomach being upset, sweating, anxious thinking, rapid thoughts, rapid heart rate. All of these things are happening when you're scared. And being scared and having these physiological and psychological responses are a natural part of being human. It's our body's way of protecting ourselves, that flight, fight, or freeze response that is natural and normal. So when these things are happening, it's important to remind yourself, this is a normal response because I'm scared. My body will feel this way, and it's temporary. It is always temporary. When you're not actually in a threatening moment, what's actually happening is your body is just having a normal reaction to being scared, and that is okay. Skill number 2, exposure and mindfulness. So exposure therapy is something you would do with a trained professional. However, there are ways that you kind of replicate this type of desensitizing on your own. If getting on a plane for you is overwhelmingly terrifying, you might want to start by looking at pictures of planes. See how you feel. Is it anxiety provoking? Is it fine? Watch a movie about planes. Watch videos that simulate what it's like to be on an airplane. Go to a museum that has a prop plane. I know in LA we have the Ronald Reagan Library. You can walk on one of the big airplanes there and kind of walk around on it, and it's totally safe. So going in an actual airplane. Now, usually flying is all or nothing. You can't just practice flying, so you're not going to be able to do a full simulation. So you do what you can. And if you can't actually get on an airplane or do a simulation of an airplane, think of the other things that you're scared of in your life and face them a little bit more. I had a client that was scared of airplanes, also scared of elevators. So we practice going on elevators more. Or if you have a fear of spiders or whatever it is, you can engage in those phobias, kind of desensitizing, which will make you feel like you're mastering your phobias. That way, when you face the fear of flying, you'll feel more masterful of the fear. Cognitive interventions, skill number 3. So there's some things you can do to kind of intervene with the way that your thought process is happening on the plane. I would maybe have a client write down on index cards reassuring thoughts, and not just like, woo-woo, feel better, but reassuring thoughts that are facts, like your emotions are temporary, which they are. Everything you feel will go up and down. You will never stay at that same level of anxiety forever. It is temporary. Facts about safety of airplanes, reassuring facts about things that you can do on the plane, and just have you read them as you're on the plane. Now with cell phones, you can put these things on cell phones as well. You can also be mindful on the plane and have a cognitive intervention of relaxation techniques. There's a lot of apps that will offer audio relaxation techniques. There's even a really cool GIF, so unhip, I don't know how to say them, GIF, you know what I'm saying. That is a breathing GIF where the bubble goes in and out. It says breathe in, breathe out. You can just look at the animation. And I usually keep that downloaded on my phone, and will look at it if I feel like a little nervous on the plane and just want to guide while I'm breathing. Phone apps, there's breathing GIFs, index cards, reassuring notes to yourself, and just really reading them over and over when you are worried or feeling some anxiety on the plane. Skill number 4, engage in things that you do have control over. So while you can't jump out of this flying metal box in the air, you can do other things that give you a sense of control, because that's all it is. It's giving you the feeling that you have some type of control in your environment around you. So choose to read a book, look at things on your phone, play games on your phone that are kind of mindless, like solitaire or like a word hunt type thing. You can also be mindful about your environment on an airplane. Look around you, be aware of like smells, sights, things that you feel, the texture of that oh so comfortable airplane seat, the smells of the person next to you. I'm sure there's a lot of sensory experiences on a plane that you're just not paying attention to when you're really anxious. So that can always be fun, just to be aware of all the interesting things that might be around you. How many emotional animals are around you and under seats. Sometimes it's fun to look for them. Who's on the plane today? So be aware of your environment and engage in things that you actually have control over. Watching a movie, listening to music. Remember, you are in control of the way you engage with your anxiety. So hope you took a little bit away from this video on the fear of flying. And the number one thing about anxiety and phobias is the more we're scared of something and have anxiety about something, the more we avoid it to avoid the feeling of anxiety. Because let's face it, anxiety is really unpleasant. So the way to make that fear bigger and worse is to avoid. The way to manage it, reduce it, face it, is to engage in those things that are so scary. So the number one thing about fear of flying is don't avoid it. Get on a plane, travel, see the world, see your friends and family, have experiences. And that is what's going to help desensitize you to that anxiety feeling that's happening. So I am telling you, as your YouTube mental health person, go on an airplane if you are scared of airplanes. So hopefully this has been helpful. Have a great day. This is Dr. Amie Harwick, licensed marriage and family therapist. Comment below, look at my other social medias. All the links are below. You can see them, and go travel.